We're going to get you hooked on it, right? You're going
Yes.
dependent, if you will, because hooked feels so negative, like drug kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not a drug, but the dependency will be there and processes and everything else. And then what happens to the price point?
Right.
So it's one of those things to just be aware of, not freaked out over, but aware of. I mean, because if they go too radical, you're gonna have people that just they can't stay. They can't keep up with
Yeah.
it.
The AI world is moving fast, but we make it easy. Welcome to the AIBecause podcast, your shortcut to turning AI hype into real results.
Okay.
Welcome to this episode of AI Because. It's so funny, before we hit record, we were all chatting about the different things going on, and we listen to so many different podcasts that we don't necessarily know where we hear the stuff that we hear. So welcome, and we'll kind of catch you up and see what's going on and how we're using AI and opportunities for you as a small business owner to do it as well. And I think mainly it's so funny. I told the guys, so I had printed off one of the podcasts that I listened to is the artificial intelligence. They go pretty deep on stuff. And so one of the things they were doing in this one is they have live events and they were answering questions that came up. So instead of listening to the entire podcast, I pick out things that I think would apply to people here. So anyway, it's good to see you all.
Yeah.
See you all. Yeah. So Steve, kick us off. What's happening in your world, sir? What
Well,
do
I'm
you
always like
research?
looking at a mixture of different things. I'm looking at a combination of macro trends, like the size of the investment in these data centers for AI is just so huge. There's just been so much that's been happening. It's really so interesting, and how, like, literally out of nowhere in the last, I say out of nowhere, it's out of a relative nowhere.
It's true. We
Um,
came out of nowhere.
right. Out of a relative nowhere, for a long time, there were three big IT infrastructure hosting companies, right? There was Azure, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, and then Google Cloud. Well, now if you look at what has happened over the last like 90 days, with the deals being announced, Oracle now is all of a sudden a huge, huge player, right? In this cloud game, right? They come literally they were not amongst the big three before. Now it's a big four. And and so I think it's so interesting to see how these things are changing, as well as the shifting alliances, where now you have, for a long time it was OpenAI and Microsoft exclusively, and now you have Claude getting in that, and then OpenAI doing alliances with non-Azure companies like Oracle. Then you have things like NVIDIA investing $100 billion in
Intel.
OpenAI, like so many different
Well,
things.
they invested in Intel too. Was it 8
The
billion?
5 billion. So
Yeah, 5 billion.
the
Oh yeah,
relative
which is
the
nothing.
relative magnitudes, right, tell you a lot. I was actually out for a walk last night, and I was listening to the chairman of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, talk
Yeah.
about why they did that investment in OpenAI, and it was very interesting. They believe that OpenAI is probably going to be the next multi-trillion-dollar company.
Which is crazy. They've just got to figure out this freaking nonprofit status that they have.
hmm
Um, yeah, interesting animal. So what's the so what, Steve? Of
So
all
what?
the
Well, to me, there's multiple so whats. One, I think from our point of view, if you look at the amount of money that's going into investing in this infrastructure, and if you look at how little relatively that that what we're paying today covers this, I think it's reasonable to expect in the coming years that there will be price increases that we will be paying. Right now, we're all getting hooked on it, and and I think it's likely that, yes, they're planning on like a tenfold increase in the quantity of use for sure, but I think it's also reasonable to expect for these companies after all this high level of investment that has gone in, that they're going to need to make a return on their capital for their shareholders.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because in the back of my mind is this thing of
Yeah.
but it'll be an interesting thing. It'll be an interesting thing.
And one other thing at a more lower level, I created this decision-making GPT, and I've been having people test it now for
You
a while.
have.
Yes, and it's actually getting better, and I've been spending time improving it because
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Or like company decision or personal decisions?
any kind of both.
Any decision. Okay.
So one of the things it helps unearth is hidden assumptions. Then it
Yeah.
takes best practices into account, and so yeah, there's a few other tweaks I want to make, but yeah, absolutely, I'll share it. I've shared
Got a
it.
demo?
Yeah, we'll do a demo.
Yeah.
Demo, not today. We'll do a demo. Let's
Oh,
do
really? It's not ready for prime time yet?
Yeah.
it's a difference between 95 and 100. I want something that's 99% at least, and it's probably 90% now. So
I saw it. Was it last Monday? I think I
maybe.
saw it last Monday. No, it's not.
Okay.
Maybe I did see it.
Okay. All right.
Maybe,
Well,
maybe.
but you were sounding uncertain. You were sounding uncertain. So
I
I'm
mean,
feeding
I
off
was
your uncertainty.
no, but
I'm
I
like,
mean,
I
I
would
mean,
know when you last saw it. But if you said, well, maybe last
I was
month.
in that I was in that meeting.
Okay.
So I did see it. So what's
Okay.
the end game with this thing, this decision-making GPT?
It's part of
You're
a
gonna go
larger effort.
like,
I've organized all my GPTs in folders, so in projects, and then cutting across them, I've got my custom GPTs, and I'm expanding. I literally created a project called GPT's Lab, and I'm like figuring out which GPT I want to do next, right? So
okay, but what's the end game with your decision custom GPT?
just to make it where I'm making higher quality decisions for decisions that matter, right?
Okay.
Like specifically what we're talking about is decisions that are both important and not easily reversible, right? If it's easily reversible or it's not important, then it's not even worth my while to spend a whole lot of time deciding. But if it's going to cost money to reverse the decision, or if it's and if it's very important, then that's the
Are
kind of
you going to use this to determine whether or not you want to buy another lifetime membership?
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
I absolutely might. I absolutely might. I might.
I've got 3 lifetime memberships I can buy. Which one I should buy?
That's right.
Or should I even buy it at all?
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Buy
right.
it at all?
That's exactly right. Well,
Okay.
along these
Making
lines,
decision is also
hey,
a decision.
you know what? When prices are going up, and then I'm sitting here with my lifetime deals.
The fan.
Huh?
Well, yeah, he could build out, what is it, 50 or 150 different websites right now? If
Right.
ever going to go in that business. Yeah, it's great.
So,
Greg, what's
yeah.
happening, sir, in your world?
Well, I've been a little distracted this week, but yesterday I woke up realizing that I'd left myself way behind the gun. So I set out on a mission to catch up, and I have a paid OpenAI account that around 5 o'clock last night I maxed out and they shut me down. Which
What? I didn't know you
okay.
could.
I didn't know that either. Okay, I did not know that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I apologize to Greg Brockman for me contributing to the scarcity of compute. Okay, but anyway,
They're gonna name a new data center after you. All these people.
I did not know you could max out with
coming.
paid.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to come around to that comment, Steve. So Anyway, I was working on a pitch deck, and I was using chat to help me direct the prompting, and I was convinced that I should use GenSpark rather than Gamma, so I went and did that. And then when I got shut down of OpenAI, I went to Gemini 2.5 Flash, and I finished at 11:30 last night. Okay, I finally got my pitch deck I had to have it in before midnight last night. So
Oh
uh,
my God. So you were behind on a deliverable.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Because I'm in my head going, what are you behind on? I mean,
Okay. So we've been here telling everybody that AI is going to save us time and make our life just suddenly so wonderful. But to get what we want requires extra prompting, it requires extra
oh yeah.
patience, and we've got to say, sorry, that's not my brand. Let's try again. And so yeah, it was a full day adventure yesterday. It was very educational. Okay.
I was going to
But
say, what did you learn? What would you do differently, knowing what you know now? If you were starting into that day, what would you do differently?
I would condense my prompting. I wouldn't just copy and paste anymore. Okay, that I contributed to the deep
Spin,
research that
spin,
was
yeah,
not necessary, and that's why I say I apologize to the scarcity of compute, because I was actually contributing to the delay and to the confusion. Okay,
yeah,
rather than keeping things crisp and keeping the knowledge, updated, I didn't do that. Okay, and so I actually contributed to the problem.
yeah.
Um, but okay, so I'm kind of making kind of a full turn around here, and it was something that David Sachs said, is that there could be AI companies in the future that rely on one GPU, and it's internal, and they run their own software
Mhm.
and everything else. So I actually got got connected with NVIDIA, kind of a webinar, and I was amazed to find out that the majority of their employees are not involved in chip making. They're involved in software and everything else. Okay,
Mhm.
so they're majorly involved with robotics as well. I was unaware of that. Okay, and then the idea that I can actually buy an air-cooled GPU at a discounted rate right now because they're upgrading may not be the worst investment we make
Mhm.
in the space that we're in, because
Mhm.
with the scarcity of compute, we can talk about these grandiose, data centers that are being built, but for something that maybe we need to rely on, it might only be one or two GPUs, and we
Mhm.
could have them in our office. Okay, so
Yeah.
anyway, that was my turn on the light moment, that we maybe want to be self-responsible and start, before things get too tight, to start looking out for our own ventures.
Yeah. It's interesting what you said when you went through that whole process that you went through. And there was this one call out that you said, we're telling people it's so much easier. You spent all that time that you spent, right, doing and producing whatever pitch deck that you did in essentially a day. Okay. You did it in a day. My gut is I don't know that you would have had a pitch deck had you not had the resources. I mean, I literally in that amount of time, I don't know that you would have produced something.
You're
That
100% correct. Yeah, you're
yeah,
absolutely spot on.
yeah,
There's no doubt there.
yeah. The other part of it too is I think there's this we need to have awareness, and I've heard it from several different platforms that even if you're on the free version or you're paying $20 a month, right,
Mhm.
is the cost is so much greater
Mhm.
than the actual cost to do this stuff than what you're paying for. Um,
Mhm.
be aware of it. Be aware of what you're doing. Steve, I had the conversation I mentioned to somebody else, and I think I mentioned to you you don't need to use deep research for everything. I mean, use it when it's appropriate to use it, but pay really close attention, which I think is cool what ChatGPT has done. Internally they're triaging and going, okay, that's this use case, that's this one. And so when you do a prompt, it's going to send it off if you put it in automatic mode. They should internally realize less energy use overall than people that maybe are going to go into deep research every time, right? And the higher energy use. So yeah, I think it's a good call out. And there's probably a lot of other things that you learned from that day of pitch deck. And congratulations though on getting it done and submitted on time, right? Under the wire. Yeah.
Yeah. But it does highlight yeah, one of these trends we will see where yeah, majority of the organizations will rely on Microsoft and OpenAI, where the AI is on the cloud. But I'm starting to see organizations who are more risk averse, who don't want to go with that approach. So they want to have their own GPUs, they want to have their own models. So probably, yeah, not a good approach for small organizations, but in many organizations, that is being considered as an option. And now because OpenAI also provides an open source version, which is a sort of a cut down model, but still powerful, that it can help with a lot of use cases. And I'm working with your clients in Middle East, in UAE at the moment, and this sort of is a big concern where they want more control on how the AI is used, where the AI is used, where the data is going. So this, may be a very viable approach going forward, that have your own GPUs, and then you don't need the full-blown big model. The medium-sized model may be good enough for you to run your business, that it doesn't need to have all the chemistry knowledge, all the biology knowledge, all the pharmaceutical knowledge.
Right.
If you just have a small retail store, in a city somewhere in America, then maybe 20% or 25% of the knowledge in these models is sufficient, for you to have that competitive advantage.
Well, and that's what they're talking about too, is those niches, to your point, is you don't need all of it if this is what you need. And so the narrowing down of what that is to be able to support, an industry, a whatever. It's nice to go, yeah, he's got whatever with a PhD level, whatever, but do you need it all? So a lot of times we're narrowing down with our prompting to go, here's the expertise I'm looking for. So if you're
related to that trend, there is also this third sort of wave or category of people. I don't see a lot of proof at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see if anybody's seen that, where we will have like AI Amish communities. So we will have cities or groups of people or regions within a country which will say, okay, this whole AI thing, we don't want, to be on that bandwagon, and we want to be disconnected, and we just want to live a non-AI life. And that might
off the grid.
Off the grid, yeah. So that might become like a competitive advantage for them, because not everybody may want to be super connected and using AI all the time. There may be 2%, 3% of the global population, maybe even a little bit more, who may want to say, no, we don't want all that technology. We're happy with the way the technology we have today. Will just live with that. We don't need AGI. We don't need super intelligence.
Yeah, I think it'll be increasingly hard. Like, I don't know, do people, are there people today that don't have computers?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Steve, yes.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean,
who don't have what? First,
it would be hard to imagine like not ever having a computer for anything.
Well, because your whole world is in that space.
I know.
So what you're saying is it'd be hard to imagine my life without a computer. But there are plenty of people, like Manoj mentioned, Amish, that, they've come into a space to where there's some that are there's different degrees, if you will, to that stuff. But you have people that are literally off the grid. I watched a show last night that I was like, these people are idiots. That sold everything and they went to Montana. Really hard winters, by the way. And they're going to live off the grid, like off the grid.
Wow.
So only they're not equipped for it. They don't have the skills. They don't have, and are you idiots? And so you have these other people from Alaska that are coming in who their whole life have been off the grid to kind of help them get set up with a food source like vegetables and greenhouse
Right.
winter's coming. And then, yeah, you actually need to bring your goats down from your neighbor's property, which is however long away to your property. And I'm like, equip yourself for whatever this life is that you want. To your point, if you're working in modern day industry and it requires you to work remote, yes, you do need a computer, right?
Uh-huh.
Get connected. You do need these
Right.
skills. So I think it's one of those things is you don't need to know everything, but
No.
figure out what you need to thrive in the world and the lifestyle that you've chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I
in the
think
Amish community, the latest sort of what I had read, so I don't have the latest information, but the last information I read, they recently started using computers, but only in the offices to do accounting and finance and
right.
pay.
I heard that too. I heard that they're
Yeah.
using computers now too. So I think the question is not do they ever they never modernize, but I think that there is just a chosen lag, but
Mm.
not a complete abandonment.
Well, and I think it
But-
depends on how you've chosen to engage with what's around you, right?
right,
And I believe that not everyone in the Amish community is using computers
right.
because I
Mm.
Oh
think
yeah, I
it
believe
just
that.
depends if you want to stay relevant, right? And engage with
Right.
stuff because the Amish community has retail.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what does it look like that you intentionally make choices about how to stay relevant with the stuff that matters to you? Um, so there's plenty of people that are not going to
And we
have
notice,
phones and computers.
yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
we have the opposite, right? Opposite view where we will have humans who may chop off their natural arms to have a robotic arm, where they're saying,
Yeah,
okay, AI and humans will merge,
yeah.
sort of
Right.
become a great species.
Well,
And I
hopefully
can't
that
imagine that either.
doesn't
I think I would rather, I don't want anything implanted in my brain. I don't want anything, if it's
No, but
something,
there are people,
I know that.
there
Yes,
are
put
people
a
like that,
chip.
Steve, who are ready to,
Well, and
yeah.
if you have to, then fine. But I'm just saying, right, I would prefer just my own decision, right? That's when
The
those,
Amanda's put a chip in his wrist, in his arm. He inserted one of the chips because they were doing um the interview with the product guy from OpenAI, and he had just
okay,
got it done. I'm like, hi,
yeah.
no, I don't know. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. Well,
Yeah.
here's another thought. Here's another thought. Do you realize that now a lot of this is due to heavy usage, but also technological obsolescence. The estimated useful life of these GPUs. So, like they're spending $100 billion on a data center, right? And it sounds like, all right, that's going to be there for a long time. The most of what goes into the building of these data centers is the cost of the GPUs. The
The hardware.
estimated life of a GPU is between 1 and 3 years.
Yeah.
So you need to think
Mm.
So
about
you know what it is?
this is not a
Invest
one-time
in
investment,
NVIDIA. I know.
right? Not a
Yeah.
one-time investment.
No, it's not a one
So
and done.
there's
The
there's
building is the
huge
brick and mortar that should be there.
there's huge cost recurring even that have to be accounted for and and eventually charged to consumers and businesses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
disagree with you.
And
Yeah.
Manoj, anything
because
else?
Steve, that'll create now a market that, like, if you sort of imagine 6 years time, where you will be on the latest chips, but whatever chips are getting manufactured today, that there might be industries and organizations who may be willing to use the chips from 2025 because that's sufficient for them. They don't need the chips of
That's right.
2030.
And that very well could be true. That very well could be true. There's little more to look
It's like
into.
wine barrels. They're used for the wine ones, and then they
Right.
sell the used wine barrels, the old ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Same thing.
You might have one in your home for decoration, do you?
I do on my back patio. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Because
There
I've seen
you
that
go.
people have like their CD discs hanging on the car dashboard.
Some people use that stuff for decoration.
Yeah.
I've seen it on some of the improvement shows and stuff. I'm like, okay, then it wouldn't be my choice, but okay. All
So
right.
I'm really curious if you got this thing full when you first acquired it. Like, was it
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, let me take the used barrel. Oh, there's no wine in it? What? Yeah, no,
Oh,
that would be good. I was listening to the artificial intelligence podcast and I had heard it a couple times. They built out, like Steve, you were talking about your custom GPT for decision making. They have one for it's a jobs GPT. And what
mhm.
you can put in there is interact to find out, what your current job is, forecasting with jobs based on industry. And so I went into it with executive coaching and said, hey, I'm an executive coaching what's going on with that industry. How is AI going to impact or disrupt? So I think it's a cool thing to explore. I'll put the link in the description for people. It's stuff I knew that was already coming, but if you don't know, if you've been out of bed or you're curious about what's happening, I think that's a pretty cool way. I think one of the things too is when AI first came out, even though we're still newer into it, I think people jumped on board and there's a lot of organizations that it didn't pan out, right? They jumped on too quickly. And to your point, Manoj, people are looking at it now more thoughtfully. Um, and I say that because there are ways to where we don't have to just blast lay people off as AI replaces people or think that's what it is. But take a look at, and I'm hopeful organizations are doing this, those jobs that can free up time that don't need human intervention in them, right? But we didn't have anyone else to do it or any other way to do it besides humans. So that you free up bandwidth for humans to do stuff that only humans can do, which by the way, there's a ton of crap that only humans can do. One example was where are we not able to have individual touch points with our customers, right? Even if it's like 10, 15-minute blocks of time because we're so busy doing this other stuff that's not made more efficient. I'm going to say automated, but made more efficient. But think about that is how can I spend more time with humans, right, in what I do by automating or improving or offshoring to AI, even though it's within your business. But I think that's a space to do or places that you can grow and innovate that you don't currently do it. And don't just think it's a one-shot deal. The other is, and we talked about this before, go narrow, go deep, go get tool or tools that you want to play with and don't worry about all the noise that's happening. I know, Steve, you've got lifetime memberships for a lot of stuff. I think the risk that you run, like you said, is if they don't make it.
Yeah, if the
Be
company
aware of
goes out of
that. You're going to
business.
have a lot of players in this game, and not all the players are going to be here at the end of the day.
That's why you look for unique competitive advantage. They can't be a me too, or otherwise it's just not worth it.
Yeah. So, but pay attention to that too, as you're a business or a professional, where are you investing? There's some comments that I'm hearing, and I don't know if it's noise. I don't know if you guys have heard it. Just Anthropic, and whether or not they're gonna be around at the end. I mean, there's some competition for them that's, in their single stuff. So I don't know if you guys have heard those rumblings, that maybe they're not in it for the long haul. And a lot of it, I think, was around the capital that OpenAI is able to generate. That
Well,
is
it's able
not,
to obtain, yes.
yes, yes. Thank you, obtain. Yeah, they're not generating it. Well, they're generating it through whatever solicitation, but yeah, that they're able to get that others are not. So I don't know if you all have heard that as well. So I say that because if that's the case and your whole world's built on Claude being there, just pay attention to that stuff.
Right.
It's interesting you talk about capital and OpenAI doing all this, like Sam Altman on the road all the time trying to raise money. Zuckerberg already has it. Okay, like he doesn't know what to do with it. So those two appear to be, the top two contenders on
Well,
who.
Meta has changed their strategy, it appears, although they haven't, they're still waffling back and forth on this. Whether they want to follow, they had announced a year and a half ago that they were following a strictly open source strategy. But then with their latest AI reorgs, there has been rumblings that they want to have mostly a closed strategy. And then it seemed like the latest pronouncement I heard from them was where they may want to do something in between, where they have some closed and some open source. But I think that still has to be decided.
Yeah, I think many of these vendors, they'll go like the latest model is paid, and then the second last model, they'll make it open source. You
Yeah.
pay if you want access to the
That's
latest.
been, yeah, I've heard that, but that's a similar strategy to others as well. I think OpenAI is similar, that kind of thing. They've got their latest and greatest that they roll out. They want to be able to roll out to free, but they're going to roll out to paid, and then it'll rotate through. I think that's a similar business model or strategy, or whatever you want to call it. The other players in the game, I mean, Musk has ridiculous ability to have capital. I mean,
well, and brain power. Oh my gosh. I mean, they have figured out how to essentially create the largest cluster of GPUs in the world. That's in Memphis, Tennessee, at Elon's data center.
Yeah.
Right. And so and that is a competitive advantage when it comes to training these models and getting up to speed. And at this point,
so if you're a business and you're looking at what bucket or buckets do I put my chips in, if I'm going to invest in my business, I'm going to look at AI and how it can improve my processes. So I need to depend, right, on these platforms. Where do I put my money? Where do I invest? Which ones do I bank on?
I mean, I feel like, just like in almost anything, diversity, having some diversity, don't put all your eggs in one basket, because it's also good to check these things against each other.
Yeah, but you can't. So let's get real. Like, okay, Manoj, you had issues with your email, right? With your business email. You didn't have more than one email provider.
This is different. I
Well,
think.
but I'm saying, Steve, when you go into processes with your business and you're looking at building something based on that technology, you're not going to have
especially
different things supporting your whatever, because it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
So yeah, I hear you. In theory, that's nice, but in actual practical application, not so much.
There's still, like, if, let's say you have a business process automation, you're usually going to use some automation platform. And with these automation platforms, you can plug in the AI model as part of that. So yes, you might have to make some changes. Yes, of course. And I'm not saying that there's not efforts involved, but I think it's also not like 100% or even 50%. But anyway, Manoj, what are you're I think going to say something?
I think the answer is different for enterprises and individuals. So we stick to enterprise.
Right.
Then definitely a Microsoft Copilot today, because if your enterprise is using Microsoft Office, then it's like a logical thing, rather than bringing another vendor or another technology outside Microsoft. It's better to integrate with Microsoft. So Copilot is definitely like the first preferred tool, and that's we seeing in at least banking and financial services.
Copilot is not a foundational model. Copilot, as we've seen, they're using the OpenAI's foundational model, but now they're starting to use Claude, right, for certain. So the good thing about it, if you're using something like Copilot, then you can be pretty set, regardless of if they may shift some of their underlying foundational models, right?
Yeah, because you have at least Microsoft will take care of its customers, that if a better model comes in the future, they will take care of the transition. You don't have to, as an end user, worry too much about that you sort of outsource that responsibility to Microsoft. So that's sort of from the day-to-day productivity perspective, but then it's not still good at video tools, so we're still sort of waiting for a good video, because sales, marketing, training, video is still like a main method of communication. So images, Copilot has become really good. So it's it's as good as Midjourney or any of the
What is
image.
it using? Is it OpenAI for images?
Yeah, Microsoft Copilot uses OpenAI, the OpenAI
For
image model.
images. Yeah, for the images.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty good.
because OpenAI has come a long way with images.
They have.
Gemini,
Yeah.
Google's another one. I mean, Google's solid. It doesn't have the ecosystem, operating system, all that stuff that Microsoft has. Apple, I don't, they're kind of late to the
They
game.
need to buy something. They need to buy, and I've heard.
Yeah, but I think what Apple is going to provide, but what Apple is going to provide is the edge where you will have a model which can be on your mobile phone, and it is powerful enough. It will not be super powerful, but it is powerful enough to respond to the day-to-day queries. So that's where I see that, yeah, they'll take a lead whenever they get that right. Because for them, they just can't compromise on privacy and security, while all of these other AI vendors, like privacy is in the dustbin, right? They don't care about copyright. They don't care about privacy. They don't care about using your information. With Apple, it's a no compromise, that they can't be seen. So I think they'll be the first one to have that edge where they'll give you a model which will sit on your PC or on your mobile phone, so you don't have all these concerns about your data going out
Well,
to
and
the
it's connected everywhere. So it is another one that I look at, that the operating system is there, the foundational stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
And it
But
understands all your Apple metadata. So it understands your Apple email, your Apple Calendar, what websites you're browsing, what text messages you're sending. So that model will be personalized, to your sort of Apple usage.
if you're in that space, it's interesting because I have an iPhone, but I do not have a Mac computer.
Yeah.
And so because they're different worlds. I mean, I can navigate in my iPhone world, but I have a friend of mine who went and got a Mac computer. And I said, she goes, I can't use it. And I said, why the frick would you get? Seriously, you're going to go from, you had the regular PC and now you're going to get, she goes, well, I have an iPhone. And your point? I mean, what? It's like, it's a completely different world of operating. So you have to get used to it. It's like I know you're a Mac guy, Steve.
I'm a Mac guy, so
Are you Mac too? You're Mac, aren't you?
Yes.
Am I?
It's all Apple.
No, you're not Mac. You're PC.
So my only comment about this is that
Your only comment?
my only comment at this immediate second is that Apple, I think, will have the same thing that will happen to Apple and AI as what happened to Apple and Maps, right? So Apple, for a long time, stayed on the sidelines and was content for Google Maps for their iPhone users to use Google Maps. But then one day they woke up and they decided that they had to be in Maps because it was so core to everything that they are doing. I don't see how they can't come to a similar thing in a realization in AI. I think AI is so core. In fact, I was hearing a reviewer who is I think it was what's his name, Matthew Berman, right?
Oh yeah.
Right, and he has an iPhone, but he's bought himself a Google phone. He hasn't gotten rid of the iPhone yet, but just so he can, it's got better AI capabilities, right?
Oh yeah, Google phone.
Right, yeah. And so I think that Apple's going to wake up and they're going to realize that they have to be in AI just like they had to be in Maps.
So you've heard it here first, folks. Steve's opinion. His only opinion on this.
Right. Well, like they say, you get what you pay for. So, I'm under no illusion.
They're not going for a large language model like ChatGPT or Claude. Right. They're going to go for personalized. That AI for Steve, AI for Michelle.
Right. Well, if they take the Microsoft strategy, that would be acceptable, right? Like Microsoft doesn't have very many core models either.
Yeah. Good.
Right.
And they have, but they're not as good as
that. They're an equivalent. I'm waiting for Google and the rest of the story in that space because I have Gmail. I prefer that. That being said, I've got Microsoft operating systems. I'm Microsoft, and it's just this mixed bag of tricks. But I think what happens is decide what it is when you're going in on platforms and tools that you're going to use, and make sure that the best you can, that they're going to be in it for the longer haul. Because when you're abandoning something, a manual process, and you're going to something else, that underlying platform and sustainability matters. So it is a big deal. It is a
The
big
one,
deal.
I think Apple has more trust because of their privacy and security thrust. I actually would much rather have my memories, their memories of me, Apple keeps, right? As opposed to anyone
Is that
else.
how you remind yourself how it used to be?
Right. I look at my memories. Exactly. Exactly. But anyway, so I think Apple has a tremendous opportunity there, and I think it's ripe for a new standard, just like they have model context protocol that they've created.
Have you reached out to them and told them how you feel?
You know what? Maybe we'll have the good fortune of talking sometime soon. So,
Okay.
but I think there's it's right for a standard. You've got all these European regulations for privacy and everything. I think it's right for almost like a memories identity provider or something where that you can share your information with all the networks of things. So anyway,
Wow. You're like off into the, okay, that's
that's a
great.
different
You heard it
discussion.
here, folks. You heard it here.
That's a different discussion.
Choose one opinion that just keeps giving and giving.
Just one opinion.
Right, exactly.
It just keeps giving. All right, guys. I appreciate this. I'll put the link for the Jobs GPT. I thought it was pretty freaking cool. And then so have a freaking awesome day, week, month, everything. And until next time, please like, share, subscribe. Have fun.
Bye.
From cloud to code, oh, we're everywhere. Innovation driving, we're breaking ground. With AI tools, let's turn it around. AI because we're powering your moves. Tech that's here for good, bringing all the moods.